Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast for our second edition of our Dream Team feature. This week we welcome on Killeavy man Mallon, who was part of the St Mary's Sigerson winning team in 2017 and has also represented Armagh at various age groups. So thanks very much for joining us, Kyle, and discussing your Dream Team with us.
Thanks for having me on, Sean. Appreciate you taking me on for a bit of a chat then. Thanks.
I suppose just to start, Kyle, we had Jack Rugan on last week, and he was part of St Mary's. He actually just missed out, I think, by a couple of years in that Sigerson team. There's a lot of St Mary's had a lot of Armagh representation on that Sigerson team, and obviously Gavin McKillie was part of the management as well.
Yeah, we did. I think maybe we could have been six or seven Armagh. So you'd obviously Oisin then, Damon McConville, Aidan Nugent, myself, Caelan McConville, Kieran McIver as well, you'd Gavin McGilly. Putting me on the pressure here to see if I can remember everyone, but I think that's near enough everyone there. So it was great to have a good Armagh representation on it too, and it was good to have a few of the boys that played. I'd say Jack was maybe feeling a wee bit unfortunate when he kind of he missed out. He was kind of going when I was coming in, sort of into the fresher sort of side of St Mary's football, in the freshers football. So, yeah, but sure, what a player he is, speaks for himself.
So, Kyle, we'll get straight into your Dream Team on. As last week, we'll have it up on the screen here. Choices. So, to start off with, you've the St Mary's keeper from that Sigerson Cup winning team, and a down man, Mark Reid.
Yeah, so I went for Mark. Brilliant goalkeeper. Great friend who played with me in the freshers too. Was in my PE class as well, so always had a good friendship there with Mark. Brilliant shot stopper, and his kickouts speak for himself. He can hit them long, he can hit them short. He'll probably not want me to mention, but I mentioned to him every year about the stunt he pulled in the semi-final against UCC. He caused two short kickouts and 2 goals in the space of maybe 30 seconds, however we recovered from that. But yeah, like I said, he bit of a live wire too, but I suppose you need that from someone between the sticks. Really good vocal. You would hear him if you're up in the full forward line. You would hear him shouting, screaming for you to get back. Usually me or someone trying to get forward. He's come pulling us back. But look, it just shows the keeper he is. I seen there in the championship last year, he came out of his nets and he kicked the ball from out of his hands, play maybe 60 yards. So I suppose it's the way that goalkeepers are going now, but he's an exceptional goalkeeper. Established himself there with Down coming through the underage, and hopefully see him back playing there under Paddy Tally again.
We'll move on to your full back line then, Kyle. You've played with these boys at different levels. Ceathair McKinney is obviously your own club man, Killeavy man. Aaron McKay and Kevin McKiernan were 2 men that were in that St Mary's team as well.
Yeah, so I'll go with Ceathair there. Super player with Killeavy, especially over the last couple of years. He's really sort of established himself coming in there. Quite a versatile player too, so can play full back. I know he had a spell playing full back with St Mary's as well. He just missed out. They got to a Sigerson final the year after and got beat, and he was playing sweeper in that team too. But what I would say about Ceathair is a great reader of the game, a great football brain, and one of those. He has everything in his locker too. He can get up, he can take a score if he gets the chance, and he's a real tight marker. Maybe doesn't get enough credit for the work that he puts in there, but that's why Ceathair got the nod in there at cornerback. Aaron McKay, fullback, played with me with St Mary's too. Had our spells, Killeavy, Drummond kind of feud as well. So great player. Over the last couple of years there, he's established himself in the fullback line there with Armagh. Tenacious tackler, big unit. He's kind of filled out over the last couple of years. Would be known for playing around the midfield area. So played with Aaron through St Paul's Bestbrook as well. When he was playing in midfield and McCrory finals as well. So Aaron got the nod there at full back. And then moving on into Kevin. What can you say about Kevin? Look, he's playing for Down maybe 20 or 15 plus years. Played an All-Ireland final for Down in 2010 against Cork. Only found out the weekend of the Sigerson final that me and Kevin's actually far out relations. So that was a nice touch as well. So we're far out cousins there too. But I'll always remember Kevin coming in after we beat UCC in the semi-final. You were coming in, you were quite legged. Legs were heavy. We were kind of maybe just doing a wee bit of stretch and foam rolling. And it was the night before the Sigerson final, and he stood up and he said, "Look, boys, I know what the heartache of losing an All-Ireland." And he spoke about his time with Down, losing that All-Ireland final. And he says, "Look, it's not going to happen like this tomorrow." So it showed the leadership trait that Kevin had, and I suppose that comes with experience as well. He'd be known for his big in St Mary's, his big one kick down the line. He would just boot it if he had the chance, no matter if there was if there was a full defence or he was bombing it straight down the field. But that's why Kevin got the nod in there, known for playing midfield, sweeper. So that's why I put him in there at cornerback then.
And I was interested in Kevin McKiernan because I know, like, that's St Mary's team. He's obviously had a strong team, but you were huge underdogs going into that Sigerson. And he was probably the one man that, you know, as you say, had experience of playing at that high level for however many years. Like, he must have been a huge driving force behind that St Mary's, the Sigerson team.
Yeah, because Kevin actually he done a trade at the start. He came onto the teaching scene very late, so he was a different breed altogether. So he was leadership, driving out with the ball, great reader of the game. He could pick a pass too, but even to have that in the changing room. I remember one of my first McKenna Cup games, and I was sitting there and I'm going to myself, "There's Kevin McKiernan here beside me, and you know he's on the field here, but I'm going to be playing with him today." So it was always good to have that sort of a role model, that figure around the dressing room, and it's the same with any team. You always need it, but absolutely quality footballer. Played with Burn for years, has his championships too. So great lad as well too.
Moving on to your half-back line then, Kyle, and I'm not sure if it's a St Mary's thing or what it is, but Jack Rugan went to a very attack-minded half-back line as well. You've done the same. You have three men in here: Conor Myler, Kieran McGeary and Conor O'Neill. All could play half-back, half-forward, and in the case of Conor O'Neill, maybe even full forward.
Yeah, it's quite versatile. Look, the half-back line gave me a bit of headache as we moved through the team. You'd see there's boys that are playing in the half-forward line who could easily fill into one of the half-back spots as well. So look, that's the way the game's gone now. It's gone past the stage of, look, defenders you're there to defend, you're driving forward, you have to be able to kick a score, you have to be able to kick with both feet. So there's Conor Myler, prime example there. What a driving force coming out from half back, especially in those for St Mary's, even for Tyrone as well, when they won the under-20s All-Ireland. Then he established himself even with Omagh as well. But look, great player, such an engine on him driving forward. Was able to get up the field, take a score, was able to track back. And the thing you have to admire about Conor too is he can talk, he can chat, he can get in your face, and he's not afraid to get into the nitty gritty. And you need that as well as a defender. You need that, and just an all round super player. Kieran McGeary, if probably I would say the best underage footballer that I have seen, and then being able to get the opportunity to play with him at St Mary's. To say about Kieran is, if you're looking at anybody in this team, any player in this team, he's the one with the brain. He was the one that made the thing tick. Even when we in the Sigerson Final coming up, taking a freeze with his left, cracking left foot, but really he's really established himself for Tyrone now as well, filling in there, and he's filled out, established himself too with Pomeroy. They got a good run in the intermediate. They won the intermediate Ulster and got beat in the semi-final then of the All Ireland. But any team, if you've Kieran McGeary there, you know he's going to be one of the first names on the team sheet, definitely. So moving on then to Conor O'Neill, clubmate. Conor was always at underage level, played a year below us, and you always seen the quality that Conor had. Great left foot. You know, he's really established himself as a footballer on the Killeavy team now, and on the Armagh team. It's great to see him breaking in there at the half-back line. But quite similar to Conor Mallon in a way, he getting up and down the field, great engine, like you said, Sean. You know, he's played at the half-forward line, he's played in the full-forward line, and he's a great player there. He can get on to both feet as well. An absolute nightmare to mark in training if you're picking him up, because you just know he's just going to be up and down for at least 60, 65 minutes of gameplay and training. So that's why Conor got the nod there and the wing half back.
Well, the likes of Conor O'Neill, like I sort of said that he could play full forward. He has done so for Killeavy. Like he is, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago in the championship, he was really your main go-to forward. I think it was 2019 maybe, or 2018.
Yeah,
and
so
last year he was nearly your best man marker.
Yeah, but look, that just goes without saying. Like, that's what Conor has in his locker. He's the sort of guy, if you're going to tell him to do something, you know, if you tell him to play in a corner back, maybe not that he ever would be, but if he's man marking, he's happy enough to do that, because you know he's going to put them on the back foot straight away, and he has the ability there to track back, come back. He's the ability to defend. Is quite a tight marker as well, but loves the opportunity to get forward, like you said there, Sean. So, like you said, yeah, coming off their 2017-18 when Killeavy lifted the intermediate title, like he was really that was his first year coming up into the senior panel, and he really established himself there on free kicks too. But he's a great talent, and he hopefully can progress now with Armagh, and he's a super addition to have in the Killeavy team.
And with 2 more Killeavy men, then Kyle, as we move on to the midfield, with Cathal Boylan, I think, was the Killeavy captain last year maybe, and James Donnelly as well, who everybody knows, won All Ireland with Armagh minors in 2009.
Yeah, so Cathal there, the 2 boys got the nod in midfield. You know, you're going by experience and boys that you've had the most experience playing with. So Cathal there, great friend as well, cracking footballer, very versatile, can played fullback for St Paul's, Bestbrook. Not that many people would know this, but Cathal really came out he was seen as a sort of a standard footballer coming up through the underage ranks, and then all of a sudden he just completely spread it up. He was a goalkeeper actually for St Paul's when we were second and third year. He never really got an opportunity near the team, and then he went on to be our captain with St Paul's as well. And like you said, Sean, he was captain of Killeavy last year. Unfortunately, suffered a bad injury after the Armagh Harps game, which left him out of the semi-final against Cross. And for us, that was a massive blow. Not only for the ability that Cal has in midfield, being able to catch ball, being able to drive, and he's a tough player as well. He can really mix it as well around the midfield. But like I said, once he's recovering now, he's back training, he's back running, which is super to see. Would love to see him get an opportunity with Armagh, because I think he really does deserve it. But super footballer, and a great leader and a great captain as well. So James Donnelly, what can you say about James? As much, he's probably carried Killeavy on his back maybe the last 10 years, taking Stevie McDonald out of the question of that. A real Trojan of a player around the midfield. Had a spell with Armagh. My eyes, he was playing him at corner back. Probably never suited him up in the marshes against Down, and he came away from that and he just cracked on with Killeavy. Just even having a chat with James too, he's found his form back with football, as a lot of footballers know. You can kind of lose that desire for football quite easily, and when he sees the potential there that Killeavy have and coming through, it's given that real willingness to stick about, and hopefully he's going to be about for another couple of years. Great option to have in the middle of the field if the short kickouts aren't working, which most of the time over the last couple of years with Killeavy they weren't. So he was always that option in the midfield, and you had fellas coming around hunting for the breakdown as well. Can get up and can get a score as well. Can be thrown into the full forward line as well, almost like a Kieran Hughes kind of player. That's what he reminds me of. But great ability James has catching ball, and a real driving force for Killeavy over the last, I don't know how many years.
And with an Killeavy man then in half forward line, Kyle, you have Kieran O'Hanlon there at wing half forward, Ashton O'Neill in the centre, who's obviously everybody knows for Armagh and St Mary's, and then Stephen McConville as well, who is on that Sigerson Cup winning team.
Yeah, so Kieran got the nod there at half forward. Look, he went away to Australia for 2 years there, and it was a big blow for Killeavy. He actually left the day after we had won the intermediate in 2017-18, so we didn't have him as an option there for the Ulster campaign. But look, what do you say about Kieran? He's probably at underage level, he probably was the name that stuck out through Ireland at underage level. The ability it had, trials with Aussie rules, probably didn't work out for him. But look, their losses, Armagh and Killeavy's game there in the middle at half forward, can play at 6, can go in midfield, can play in full forward. Very, very versatile player, and he's starting to find his form again, which is good. He's back into the Armagh panel there, which is good. He was a great addition for Killeavy there in the championship, and as the games progressed, he started to progress a lot more and find himself a lot more. I know when he was 18, when he was playing with St Paul's with me as well, he was our captain. He fantastic footballer. Used to shoot the lights out against St McCartans and any team in the Abbey down in the marshes as well. and then he got into the Armagh Championship team that year against Cavan, and it's probably one that Kieran will want to forget. Doesn't need me remind him of it, but that probably took an effect on him, and it's great to see that he went away. He took time to reflect on himself. He established himself, and he's back now, which is super to see. Moving on there, so I've went with Oisín O'Neill there at centre half forward. Oisín played with me in the ranch team when we won the Sigerson. Played at midfield. Studied at Queen's. Not really sure what happened there. He came on to the St Mary's team. I knew about him when we had, because we've always played at underage the whole way throughout. So look, Oisín has it all. What a player! Can play in midfield, shoot right and left foot. Has it all. He really established himself. Played with him at Armagh Minors too. When he was quite probably a year younger than what he was playing, but it's great to see he's really established himself with Armagh now, along with Rian as well. So Oisín got the nod there in centre half forward. Moving on to Stephen McConnell on the other side, might come at a wee bit of surprise to people, because Stephen he mightn't be seen as the sort of sharpshooter kind of forward, but when I played with Stephen at the ranch, Stephen was one of the best, if not the best, that I've played with at break ball. Absolutely exceptional. Could get in between three players and around there. You knew he was gonna come out with it. So that's why he got the nod there in at wing half forward. He's established himself with Clonduff there now as well too. I'm not sure if he's in the down panel. He probably should be. So I'm sure Paddy will be looking to take him on board very soon. But a great player, can shoot as well. Can mix it as well. Likes to get in your face. Likes to let you know about it, especially in training with St Mary's. If he got a goal or got one up on you as well, he wouldn't be afraid to get up in your face and let you know. So that's why Stephen got ahead there at wing half forward.
We'll move on to your full forward then, Kyle. Your full forward line, and you have two club men in here as well. You've Micheál McNamee at full forward, Cal McShane, and then Keown McConville in the other corner.
Yeah, so Micheál got the nod there in at corner forward. For anybody that's from myself, we grew up, all of us best friends the whole way throughout primary school, the whole way through St Paul's, and we're up with Killeavy now. Anybody that knows Micheál and played with him at underage know how crafty and how tricky of a corner forward he is. Great left foot, but even better pinging passes, can dictate the play, likes to get out maybe around the centre half forward line. Maybe didn't do it as much last year, but the ability he has from previous years coming out, getting on the ball, likes to dictate, can finish as well. Great finisher in front of goal. But a super player. He's the kind of corner forward that you don't want to meet. Coming in with the flashy boots and the speed that he has too. He has that in his locker, and an absolute nightmare to mark in one-on-ones and training, because you know that he's got the speed, so you're near enough happy enough to let him get the ball and then try and take him on. So Micheál got the nod in at corner forward there. So in at full forward, probably no surprise, Cathal McShane. I think maybe 2 years ago was the leading scorer in Ireland in the championship. That speaks for itself. Absolute quality of a footballer. There was the rumours there he was overdoing trials with the Aussie rules. I suppose Not sure what really happened there, but it's Tyrone's gain as well. He's out injured at the minute. Was speaking to him the other day about that, and he's recovering well. But for St Mary's, he was phenomenal. At that point, he wasn't really both footed. He always liked to try and kick off his weaker foot, and his shots would be going near enough out into the corner flag or going out over the sideline. And if you look at him now, he's more than comfortable kicking off both feet. A real powerhouse there at full forward, can come out into midfield, could easily he's played at half forward line for Tyrone, won his under 21 All Ireland there with Tyrone as well, was man of the match that day in midfield too. So look, Cahill's the name, he's one of the top footballers in Ireland on his day. He really is, and was really grateful for the opportunity to play with him at St Mary's. He probably wouldn't like me mentioning it either, but we'll throw it in there. One of our fresher training sessions, Cahill was coming out, and he's coming out with the flashy boots, and he's coming over, and I'm playing at 6, and Cahill's come into the centre half forward, and I'm sitting going, right, this boy's here beside me, and see what he's made of. The first ball came out in front of him, took it the length of the field and put it in the top corner of the net, and I came back to him and just let him know about it. But he never lets me forget about it, and he's a good friend as well too. So I said I'd throw that in there if he's watching, so I'll let him see. So moving on there then, Keelan McConnell there, Sean, you could have picked a better photo for him. He's gonna hate this, and the boys definitely give him a bit of slagging about it. He doesn't need me to mention it. But look, Keelan's really busted onto the scene. He's in the Armagh panel there now. He got his start there in the McKenna Cup there last year, but suffered a cruciate injury coming into her second year of senior football. Suffered a knee injury with St Paul's as well, so he has been quite injury prone. But look, that gave him the opportunity to go away. He done his bit of work. He got into the gym. He done gym work. And look, the size speaks for itself when he's on the ball. He can hold it. He can mix it too. He's really established himself in at full forward, and he's a great option for us in there, especially on free kicks. Great power behind the shot too. If he's going to get one-on-one, he's going to be hitting it low and hard, and it's going to be very, very hard to stop. So, like I said, played with Keelan at underage the whole way throughout. Played primary school underage. Played at St Mary's as well. He was out injured that time too as well with his knee. It was giving him a bit of bother. I'm sure he probably would have been playing in the Sigerson campaign as well. Would have got his medal as well too. So Keelan got the nod in there at corner forward.
I think, Kyle, it's interesting, like the likes of Keelan McConville, Micheál McNamee, Cahir McKinney and Cahill Boylan that you've picked. You not only played with them at Killeavy, you were also on the Armagh underage teams with them boys as well.
Yeah, so that's what we said there. Even I think when we played in the Killeavy, always had a great selection coming through at underage. I think people always thought Killeavy had a great selection at underage, and they never really could produce it come senior level. So it's great to see that those times are changing with the Armagh minors too. Under Paul Doyle, I think myself, the boys that I've listed there, Paul Quinn as well, was probably unfortunate to miss out. But yeah, when we played with Armagh, all those boys were playing. All those boys were starting. They were getting the jerseys. Keelan was our captain too, as well. So there was always great representation there with the Killeavy players in the Armagh team, and especially at that minor team where we got to the Ulster Final and unfortunately lost out in it.
And then we'll move on to your subs bench, Kyle. And just when I asked you to come on to the podcast to talk about your dream team, I was trying to work out did you ever play with Stephen McDonald? And I couldn't think if you had ever been on the same field together. You must have been at some stage, were you?
Yeah, we were. Look, I put Stevie in there for a bit of a joke and a bit of a laugh too. He'll not take too kindly. I don't think he's maybe ever been in the sub bench in his life, so it might ground him a wee bit. But he's still look, Stevie. What can you say? Coming up, going to watch the senior games, following Armagh games. Look, you knew Stevie had in his locker, kicked the winning score in the All Ireland final at such a young age and brought Sam home. He's still raving about it in Killeavy club at the minute, so he's probably going to hold on to that one for a while. So yeah, when we came up, played with Stevie for a year, but look, it was the experience that Stevie had, same kind of with Kevin McKiernan. You know, they established themselves on the county team. They've been around the block. They know the way things go. But look, Stevie from dead ball was something else. You know, could shoot on sight. He had everything. He had everything that a forward wants. And then he went into the managing side. Took us for 2 years. I'll always remember playing down in Sarsfields. He was kind of seen as a player manager, and we were getting a wee bit of a hiding from Sarsfields. And the sideline, you can see Stevie whipping the tracksuit bottoms, getting the boots on. And he comes on at centre half forward, demands the ball. He ends up scoring 1-4 in about 10 minutes. But the game was gone at that stage. But it just showed that the character he had, what he had in his locker there as well.
I suppose, Kyle, out of the bench here, who was the closest, did you feel, to maybe getting into your team?
Yeah, let me see there. I think I would probably be going with Ramey Taggart there. I think Ramey, when we came up into senior, the season that Ramey had when we won the intermediate was, I've never seen a scoring record like it. I think he had bagged maybe, if not a goal or 2 goals in every league game, especially in the championship final against Silverbridge. You know, he got the goal. He was man of the match that day. He was absolutely phenomenal. Ramey always liked to demand the ball too, which was good for us defenders coming up. I'm not sure who we were going to give it to. So he always liked to come out, dictate the play, set pieces as well, like to get on the free kicks, penalties as well. But I think Ramey's just unfortunate there to miss out in the full forward line.
We'll move on. We'll see your full team now, Kyle. That's your starting 15 anyway that you've gone for. And we're going to finish then with 2 quick-fire questions that we're going to have every week. And I suppose the first one, Kyle, as a defender, and as we look at your team here, there's about 12 or 13 attackers on the field, you could nearly say, the likes of McKiernan on your half-back line. As a defender, who was the hardest to mark in training between St Mary's, Killeavy and Armagh? And it was the likes of Cathal McShane, who's an out-and-out scoring forward, or maybe somebody like a Conor Mallon who's up and down the field all day?
Yeah, looking at that team there, you know, I'm sure any one of those boys have given me my fill throughout any training session. Cathal McShane was a handful. He really was. He played in full forward. I maybe marked him once or twice, sort of through the freshers. Never really. Conor Mallon would have played at half back, so never really would have got the chance there to mark him. Probably would say the hardest to mark would, and going by experience and people who I've played with, I would probably say Micheál McNamee would be the hardest to mark. And you know, over the last, from maybe under 14s up, me and Micheál have marked each other. I couldn't even count how many times in training, and there's plenty of time that they've come to punches, they've come to blows, but that's part and parcel of it. That's football, and that's why we love it. And yeah, just for speed, craftiness, solo dummies once or twice have left me on the ground, you know. And like I said, isn't afraid to let you know about it. You know, gets a goal, comes over, and he's digging you in the ribs, and he's saying, "Look, are you gonna track me here today? What are you gonna do to stop me?" But with Micheál as well too, even the defending side, Micheál's a very, very good defender as well. You know, great at getting a hand in, playing the near hand, exceptional at blocking the ball too, isn't afraid to put his head down when that ball's coming out. If it's a goalkeeper kicking it out, he wants to get down on the end of it. So I would say Micheál would be, going by experience, would be the trickiest to mark there in training.
I suppose, Kyle, the teams that you've been involved with, even Killeavy last year sort of went against the expectations that you've made that semi-final. The Armagh Miners, as you say, you've got to an Ulster Final, and obviously St Mary's winning the Sigerson. You've sort of been on teams that have been nearly underdogs and went against, as I say, expectations. So I suppose who on that team do you feel was maybe the most underrated player, or, you know, it probably is a team of stars as well, but who was most underrated in your eyes?
Well, probably going from that team there, Sean, look, a lot of them players are well established county players now. Wouldn't be seeing them as kind of underrated. Going from that team, the player that I would say maybe I wouldn't say underrated, maybe just doesn't get enough credit for the work that they put in, even in games, even in training. I would say it would be Ceathair McKinney, their cornerback. I think what a lot of people don't know is that Ceathair has everything in his locker there. Real tight marker, real football brain, coming out with the ball, can dictate the play coming out, can play at cornerback, fullback, can play at 6, can play at sweeper, you know, can play at halfback there too. So very, very, very versatile player. It's great to see that he is establishing himself a lot more, and he's really established himself in the Killeavy team. He's going to be always the first sort of player on the team sheet in that defence. And for a lot of players in Armagh this year, he gave them something to think about. He really was a nightmare to have for forwards there.
That's great, Kyle. Thanks very much for coming on and discussing your dream team with us. And thanks to our sponsor of today's show, High Performance Networks. And we'll hopefully have a show now every week for you, with somebody else coming on to discuss their dream team. So once again, Kyle, thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.